my beautiful souls. Welcome back to Tea and Tarot Tuesday. And welcome to December. This is the first time that I've gone live on my IG. But I wanted to come on real fast. I'm still in a lot of feels, but we're in a new month, and Spirit has something that was placed on my heart to me to share with you guys through the tarot. So, how are you doing? I won't be on here too long. I'm trying to make sure I find the right words. I'm trying to make sure that I can really channel concisely what it is that Spirit wants to say about this particular topic of radical resolution. What came through my daily divine message for this week, and that live unfolding was a really beautiful discovery. So you can always check that out if you want to over on my YouTube, Princess Leah 888. But I wanted to try and regurgitate what Spirit is trying to teach me, and I think also wants to share to the collective through me, through my voice, I guess, really, my vessel. I'm just the messenger, like I said, trying to teach me too about radical resolution. The reason why is because we are at the end of the year. We are in our last month. We are 3 weeks away from 2026. We're 3 weeks away from the end of this year 9 of completion, of shedding our false, old, outdated selves. We're 3 weeks away from the first year 1, a brand new cycle. And we're dissolving everything right now so that in this next year, the year of the horse, we can hit the ground running, moving in the direction. I'm seeing the chariot in the tarot in my mind's eye, moving in the direction that is in alignment with our truth, our purpose, our highest self. And so these last 3 weeks are the crucial 3 weeks of burning away those final debris of things that can't come with us. And a lot of that is going to come up from wounds. A lot of things are going to come out of the woodwork, out of the blue, it might seem. Triggers and arguments and tears and emotions and impulses. And you might make choices that you might look back on and ask yourself, was that the right choice, or was that me behaving in a way that is still my ego or my wounded child self, inner child, or my, triggers, or my false whatever? Is this coming from a condition, an agreement, a belief system? Is this coming from something that I picked up from childhood, from observational learning, from trauma, So all these questions are coming up right now. All these questions are asking us, are we doing this thing called life right? It feels like a pressure cooker. And it feels like the things that are able to last or make it on the other side, like a diamond, are the things that are going to join us in the next year. And I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself about making sure that I do it right, out of fear that I'm going to do it wrong and then I'm going to ruin the next year. Cycles are ending. Answers are coming online, are coming through. I mean, we have the full moon in Gemini that says the answers you need are coming, and we just had the full moon in Gemini on this past Thursday, December 4th. And so whatever is coming up since December 4th, possibly, maybe there are some conflicts that are needing to be resolved that did peak itself at this last final full moon. Of the year. The full moon in Gemini of the twins, the Gemini of communication, of mental, analytical, analyzation. So, anyway, this card came out in the Beyond Lemuria, and it says, I know it's backwards here, but it says loving compassion. And I feel like that's the biggest key here to this concept of radical resolution. Radical resolution. I think loving compassion is coming out here because it almost feels like it is radical to resolve through loving compassion in conflict sometimes, right? It almost feels radical to forgive someone that hurt you, or to talk it out when you just want to scream it out and you feel rightfully justified to do so. It feels radical to say sorry even when you also weren't the only one at fault. It feels radical to choose love when you are hurting, when you see someone that you love hurting, and when you're confused, and when you want to resolve and make it go away as fast as possible because it's uncomfortable. Loving compassion takes courage, trust. Because on the other hand, you have radical expansion in reverse, which to me is like the opposite of loving compassion. And that's the duality of that Gemini full moon. From expanding with your heart, opening your heart with loving compassion. And then you have the opposite effect of shrinking. Maybe that is what is feeling so radical too. Conflict, I know personally, I struggle with conflict. It's very uncomfortable for me to have to share how I'm feeling, because I don't know about you, but I am burning away, dissolving a limiting belief around trusting, like belief that I couldn't trust my own intuition, or that if I make other people uncomfortable, it's my fault, right? Or if I speak up and say I don't like this, or I want to do that, or I don't want to do that, if someone disagrees, what I used to do is I would shrink. I would shrink. I would radically silence myself. And even now, I'm finding and seeing the patterns still. And that's why this is coming up through me. Because it's also a message for me. Thank you, Spirit. To not shrink. There's a book that I started reading, I think last year, and it's called there's Radical Acceptance by Dr. Tara Brock. And that one is a great one. My aunt, Phyllis, and she gave me that book, and it's a great book. I definitely recommend that one too. A Buddhist practice of loving kindness, and that's beautiful. And we have loving compassion here, so maybe that is a good book to read right now for this matter, for those who might want to. But there was also another book that I got right around the same time called Radical Alignment, and I think that is actually really confirming. And I think that Spirit telling me that I need to read that book some more, because it actually is about conflict resolution. And we have radical expansion and alignment that came out. So yeah, I need to go read that book. And you should too. Because it's very important that I remember the little bit that I started reading really does. I mean, it takes communicating it's a conscious communication method. And that is the goal, right? That's the mission. That's my mission, is my mission is to heal through conscious love, right? Miss Grandma Tony Popsicle. We're matching today. It's cute. I feel really deeply about this subject right now, because I think there's so much anxiety and pressure around trying to be good enough, worthy, accept it, validate it. And when you are facing conflicts, those can feel threatened, right? And it's interesting because I'm looking down at this 4 agreements. This oracle card here says assume nothing. It says don't make assumptions. And in conflict, we make assumptions that this person may not accept us, agree, like us anymore, love us anymore. They might abandon us. Conflict brings up the triggers of the wounds that we need to face, and how to communicate it, healthily. And if you haven't had healthy examples, how do you learn how? Well, you tune into a Tea and Tarot Tuesday live. And you listen to your girl. Try and relay the message from Spirit, the advice, the guidance, and you tune into that within yourself as best as possible as well. But here, he actually writes on this back of this this oracle card, and it says, in any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think, and we don't have to say what we want. We assume that they're going to do what we want because they know us so well, but if they don't do what we want, then we feel hurt and we think, how could you do that? You should know. When we're too afraid to ask for say what it is that we need, what it is that we want, it's easy to make the assumption in a conflict that this person already knows how we're feeling. But how many times have we asked ourselves, or has someone asked us, well, did you tell them exactly what you just told me? And it's like, no. And you're like, okay, well, let me try that. And then that works, right? Because conflict resolution takes vulnerability. And vulnerability means sharing what you want, saying what you want, being authentic for asking what you need, saying what you feel, how you feel, even if it makes the other person uncomfortable, or even if it might be in a disagreement with someone else. Even if someone else thinks that you should say or do something differently. You may not get the validation or agreement or praise, and you also may be rejected in the midst of this conflict, in the midst of your healing, in the midst of this radical expansion. Conflict is an opportunity to radically expand. How do you want to find the synergizing solution that's mutually beneficial for all? Is it possible? Think outside the box. Get radical. But if someone and people walk away or disagree or aren't healthy communicating with you, and if the triggers are coming up and it's not healthy or productive, honor, love, and respect yourself. And don't take it personally. Don't take anything personally, because you are never responsible for the actions of others. You are only responsible for you. This is a practice of also finding a way to healthily resolve conflict without falling into codependency. Feeling responsible for the actions of others, right? If I don't tell you what I want, you won't do it. But you should, because you should know. If I tell you what I want and you still don't do it, then let them go. Let them choose what they want, be where they want, with whom they want, however they want, doing whatever they want. If someone is not treating you with love and respect, it is a gift if they walk away. You may hurt for a while, but your heart will eventually heal. And I'm hearing Spirit say, because, beloved, you are a gift. And don't forget that. Thank you, Spirit. We had the Realm Bridger that came out as well. That is bridging the realms. The key to bridging the realms of between conflict and solution, conflict and resolution, problem and solution, right? The key is to hold space for loving compassion. The key is to communicate clearly what it is that you do want, how it is that you are feeling, from a place of loving compassion and kindness. You don't have to say how you feel in an abrasive or mean way, but there is a way to still be able to say what you need to say, get your point across, set your standards, hold your boundary, respect yourself, and respect the other. That's by being able to not assume that they know what you want, not assume that they know how you're feeling. Ask for what you want and let them do what they want to do with that information. Don't let people treat you any old kind of way. Seven of Swords coming out. Find balance and harmony with the Two of Crystals, Pentacles. Find balance and harmony, synergy in what you say, how you say it. If it means taking time in silence to process, to reflect on your own for a couple of hours or days or weeks or months, let that be. Because however long it takes is however long it takes. You can't rush your healing. And when two people or three people or a group of people or a team of people or a family of people or whatever, even the conflict, when one person that is battling the duality, the conflict between yourself, your old self, and your new self, your outdated, toxic, unhealthy self and traumatized self, and your beautiful, authentic, healed, whole self. The ego, the consciousness, the devil, the angel, those conflicts can be resolved, but you gotta acknowledge and find and use your discernment and use your discernment to know when it's safe to speak up. It might not feel safe because it might feel uncomfortable, but there's a difference between, is this emotionally safe or is this just emotionally uncomfortable? You may not like having to reflect because it's messy. You may not like having to communicate because of the fears of rejection or invalidation or, someone else being unhealthy or toxic or hurtful. But loving compassion is the key to aligning your heart, to aligning back with your heart and unfurling back to love. So I hope this helps. There's so much more that I feel like Spirit wants to talk about. Refuse to eat emotional poison, Spirit says. Discover the truth and say only what you mean. Here it is. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself, to gossip, or to harm yourself, or to shame yourself, or belittle yourself, or others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Speak with integrity. Be impeccable with your word. Be honest. Because ain't nobody got time for that. They really don't. The answers you need are coming. New Moon in Virgo also is saying it's a time to give rather than take. Radical resolution is a time to give rather than take. Give loving compassion. Give your truth. Because full moon in Aries, a fiery climax approaches. So since the full moon in Aries, which was October 6th, to the full moon in Gemini, which was December 4th, what conflicts have been coming up? What opportunities for soul growth, soul healing, and the completing the final steps, the final countdown, completing this final clearing. Spirit says emotions are running high. Of course. Emotions are going to run high right now. Emotions are going to run high in these last final bits as we're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to make ends meet, handle conflicts, process these emotions, celebrate our loved ones. All the emotions are being felt because we are humans. We are spiritual beings. We are in this human experience to feel all these human emotions. Comes free of charge, right? Batteries not included. So step out of your comfort zone, North Node. Maybe you have a North Node in Gemini or Aries or Virgo, but the South Node is in Virgo right now. And the South Node in Virgo for the collective is all about clearing those karmic cycles of perfectionism and lack and scarcity and not enoughness, not good enoughness, of, feeling the need, feeling like you have to overcompensate, overprove, overgive. But this is, though new moon in Virgo is coming out, this is as much of a time that this is to give. How can you ask yourself, or to ask yourself, how can you give? Where can you give? How can you give more loving compassion to the situation? How can you give more loving compassion to yourself? How can you give more loving compassion to the conflicting party? How can you step out of your comfort zone and give loving compassion when you so much want to shrink, to silence, to run, to hide, to fight, to bite? Ask yourself, what is your go-to primitive survival instinct? Do you run? Do you fight? Do you flight? Do you freeze? Do you appease when you're in the midst of conflict? What do you do when you are feeling threatened? What do you do when you are feeling unsure of how to, when you're feeling anxious? What do you do when you're feeling scared? Do you bypass, numb, hide? Do you force, control, overproduce, overmanage, hyper fixate, hyper control, manipulate? How do you resolve conflict? This is a really, really powerful message, and I've been chatting for a very long time on this Tea and Tarot Tuesday night. I usually don't chat this long on my Instagram lives. If you want a long chat for Tea and Tarot Tuesday, you can go check those out on my YouTube, which I'll post this on YouTube as well. So hopefully you guys don't mind it, and hopefully it's making sense. Hopefully it's something that can be used in your practice. Hopefully it's something I can use in my practice. Hopefully this is something that I can take into and learn how to better communicate my feelings and express my desires and requests and not make assumptions, not run away, not go silent and then never share how I feel and then expect the other person to just know how I feel. And then also to love myself and respect myself enough to let people and things walk away, fall away. I have to share this last thing. because the energy is gaining momentum. The energy is gaining momentum. The answers you need are coming. So I had to add this last thing about how I have, I had to listen, I had to read, or what should I say, I was inspired to go back to the very first page of my current journal because I'm at the end of it, and I like to try to reread a little bit to see how much where I was at the beginning of that chapter of that notebook. And the first page of my current notebook was actually a church service about trusting in divine will, trusting in God's will, trusting in the perfect source, trusting in sources, divine, radical resolutions. That's why synergy is so powerful, but it also takes a lot of loving compassion to find mutually beneficial solutions for all parties involved. It's up to you if that's something that you want to do. It's up to you to also, even if the resolution is not exactly the way that you wanted. The sermon was talking about God's will open doors, close doors, will guide you. God's will guide you. Divine love will guide you. Source has your back. Whatever you want to call it, God, Jah, Allah, divine source, spirit. It is always with you, will never leave you, and will always have your back. And it is always aligning and calling you to align with its highest and greatest good intention for you. So trust that. Even if the doors close, trust that. Even if they walk away, trust that. Even if the doors are open, but the path is not easy, trust that. You are being guided, even through uncertain times, even through frustrating times. Trusting in divine guidance, divine's guidance. God has your heart. Thank you, Spirit. This is not an easy conversation. This is not an easy message for me to grasp the words, because it is something that I'm unlearning unhealthy, toxic traits of conflict, unconscious conflict, I should say, resolution. I am still a student. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot over this 33 years of my life, but I've also needed and are still needing to unlearn a lot. I am so not perfect. I create a lot of conflict. I run from a lot of conflict. I don't know how to resolve a lot of things, but I do my best to try to learn how to try to resolve it, to try to do the right thing, to try to right my wrongs, to try and forgive and be able to keep the peace. But sometimes I'm an Aries. Sometimes I'll be burning that shit down. And then I have to think back and reflect, and you can't take back what you already burned down, right? But you can rebuild from the ashes. Thank you, Spirit. That was a channeled message to put my mind at ease as well. Be gentle with yourself. I think the most important part of all of this is have loving compassion for yourself, first and foremost. It's not easy being human with all these other human energies. It's not easy. Trying to navigate, keep up. It's not easy trying to understand who you are, what you want. It's not easy trying to heal while you're also trying to coexist with others, especially when your heart chakra is involved, when your heart is involved. Unfurl. This is at the bottom of the deck. We don't see coming as we approach this week with this in mind, with these new tools to resolve radically, consciously, these conflicts within ourselves, within our collectives. Open your heart. Keep your heart open as best as possible. Don't close your heart. Spirit says this is an opportunity to unfurl back to love, to heal the heart wounds. You know, the masculine, that's why my mission is heal the heart of the divine masculine and the sacred feminine for the soul of mankind through conscious love, which I was trying to say that earlier and I couldn't say it for some reason. But the reason why I say that is because the masculine stores their trauma in their heart chakra, and the feminine stores their trauma in their sacral chakra. And so when there's trauma and conflict between the masculine and feminine energies, not gender specific, your own energies even, when your heart is conflicted with your sacral, when your mind is conflicted with your heart, you can feel scattered. Come into alignment with your heart. Come back to the middle. And understand that it's okay to feel how you feel. It's okay that you're going through what you're going through. It's okay that it's confusing and scary and uncertain. It's okay that you don't know what to believe or who to believe or where to go or what to do. Surrender to what you can't change, to what you can't control. Surrender and trust and believe as best as possible. The trauma that's in your heart, masculine, collective, it's asking you to step out of your comfort zone and look at where those wounds are and hold space of loving compassion for yourself for those heartbreaks, the heartaches from recent that you've been going through this year, all the way back to your childhood, because those wounds stay with you in your heart from your very first heartbreak. And if you never learn how to heal or resolve that conflict, you're going to have that inner conflict with your inner child. I've been journaling to my inner child, legitimately asking her, Jai baby, what you need? How do you feel? Try it out. It's intense. There's a lot of emotions that children hold, right? That your inner child is holding in, and how much of it has been radically shrinking, and how can you expand that heart again with loving compassion? How can you give rather than take? How can you step out of your comfort zone and forgive when you want to push away, and stay when you want to run, and apologize when you want to blame? How can you tap into that full surrender and acceptance in the midst of conflict and uncertainty by trusting not in you or the other person, but in Source and Divine and God and Jah and it all. Trusting that it's going to work itself out, and just be patient, because love is patient and love is kind, right? It does not boast. It is not rude. It does not envy. It is not jealous. It is not easily angered. Love is not easily angered. Love does not keep records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil or gossip or self-defecation. I don't think that's the right word. That's a bad word. That's not a bad word, but that's not the right word. But that's the word that deafening. I think that might be the better word. Love rejoices with the truth. Love rejoices in integrity, with integrity. Love rejoices in holding space to protect, to hope, right? Love protects. Love hopes. It always protects. It always hopes. It always trusts. It always perseveres. Love never fails. Love always prevails. And love conquers all. And we don't have love. We don't give love. We don't take love. We are love. We don't do love. Love isn't a verb. We don't do love. Love is not a possession that you own either, from someone or give to someone. It's not an action. Love, it's a frequency. And love is our essence, our core essence. We are love. We don't lose love. We are love. That's why we can find love in so many things. That's why love comes up. Brings up loving feelings in so many different things, from babies to animals to nature to lovers to sexual, sensual intimacy to deep conversations to ice cream cones to birthday parties to, love is everywhere because we are human beings. I wish I could remember the quote. My phone's gonna die because they said you've been on this chat for too long. This is a very long Tea and Zero Tuesday for Instagram. So hopefully YouTube likes it, okay? Because I know Instagram doesn't typically like my long chats. But I just can't seem to stop chatting because when Spirit wants to speak, Spirit wants to speak. And for a very long time, I did not have the capacity to hear what Spirit had to say because I was too enmeshed in the conflicts. I was too much in conflict energy mentality instead of resolution, solution mentality. So anyway, I guess I'll stop rambling because I kind of lost where I was at anyway because my phone's telling me it's about to die. So I hope that this helps. We are transforming. We are making strides. New Moon in Pisces says, last bit, meditate. Meditate and contemplate. How do you want to show up in your conflicts from here on out? How do you want to resolve? What is the ideal resolution, the ideal outcome with this conflict? And how can you work your way towards that? Starting with having loving compassion for yourself and loving and respecting yourself. And then having loving compassion for the other and loving and respecting the other. And having loving compassion for the situation, the conflict in and of itself. And having loving and respecting the conflict of in and of itself. So, let me know how this resonates. If it does, let me know if you have any additional thoughts. If you have some great ideas and thoughts about how you resolve conflict, let me know. Because, like I said, we're all in this rocket ship together, shooting for our highest timeline, so that we can walk in our bliss, live in our bliss, live fully, freely, deeply, in conscious love. That concludes the message, and I love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to my soapbox. And until next time, peace and love. Namaste. Be on the lookout for my 9th annual 21-day soul cleansing journey. I've been going back and forth of whether I want to bring it back again. And I think Spirit is telling me that the collective is asking for it. I think Spirit is telling me that I need it every year. That's why I do it for me, mostly. And for those who benefit from the ride, join me. So I am planning on going live with my 21-day soul cleansing journey this Friday for the 12/12 portal. If you'd like to be a part, I don't know if I'm going to go live on Instagram or on YouTube yet. Probably YouTube, now that I think about it, just because these long conversations don't go so well on Instagram. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. All right. Peace and love. Namaste. I'll talk to you later.